Hello everyone. Here is an interesting one. Um, you will never be fully vaccinated. Um, I had my own suspicions, and I think uh, they are true. They are no longer going to consider two shots as fully vaccinated. You would need third one, and then you would need fourth one. Um, so yeah, you will never be fully vaccinated. And they will always find an excuse for you to have another one. But why are they really doing this? As I explained in my video yesterday, um, these people want you to be obedient. If you follow the line, you are okay. If you don't follow the line, they will know who you are. It's a fantastic way of finding it. Um, if you are going to follow the narrative or not. And ultimately, why are they doing this? Because they are aware financially economies are in really bad position. You take US for example, the debt is what, 29 trillion now, maybe even more. I wouldn't be surprised if it's touching 30 trillion. The yearly GDP is somewhere around 21, 22 trillion, so debt to GDP ratio is much higher than 100%. If you consider the off-book liabilities, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, it's somewhere around 120 trillion. If you add those two, 120 plus 30, that's 150 trillion of total debt and liability. And that has to be paid through a yearly budget of 3.5 to 4 trillion. There is no way in the hell um, those debts and liability can be met. And that's when the interest rates are rock bottom, near about zero. So once the interest rates start going up, imagine what's going to happen. So they are aware this, game of cards is going to come down crashing. This Ponzi scheme is going to end in a disaster, and they are just preparing us, or preparing you and me. And like I said, they have no other option. Either they will have to outright declare um, default, which means no 401ks, stock market crashes 90%, maybe even more, no pensions, no jobs will be very scarce. It would be, unemployment rates would be what, around 35, maybe 40%. Great Depression level sort of numbers. Um, I mean, it'll be absolute chaos. Housing prices will be like, housing will completely crash. All the asset classes, just the sheer amount of debt is so much. All the asset classes will just completely crash. I mean, there'll be, if that happens, there'll be like, riots in the streets. And these guys are aware of that. So they are not going to outright default. That is not a scenario that I think I consider has higher probability of happening. There is a probability it can happen, but I think it's far less. I think they will choose the easier option, boil the frog in the pot slowly, slowly, which is through inflation. So they will, as they have been doing these quantitative easings, which is nothing but a fancy name of money printing. They will print, they'll print to the eternity, infinity, forever. Um, so, which means there's going to be inflation. So, if there's going to be inflation, then people are again going to not going to be happy. They may start rioting again because they're not going to afford things. Maybe food prices will be so high that they may not even be able to afford food. So guess what? You know, government or Federal Reserve or central banks will have to print money and give stimmy checks. And that's where I think their end game is that instead of stimmy checks, they will basically introduce some sort of central bank digital currencies in respective countries. And because now that is the medium of exchange, um, they would know everything about you, all your transactions. So they can control everything about your life, and they will. And this is why this is where I think this cog fits in perfectly. This is a way for them to know um, how far they can push you and who is going to follow. So both the things, both the aspects, how far they can push you and who is going to follow and or who is going to be troublemaker. So yeah, this is going to be interesting. Um, yeah, they're not going to stop at third now, or I would be pleasantly surprised that if it stops at third and or fourth even, and people just rise up and say, hey, you know what, that's enough. Um, but I have serious doubts about it. I think people will just take it, accept it. Anyway, share your thoughts in the comment section. I'll put this link in the description as well. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.